inevitably, when we improve one area of our life, it starts to bring up other areas of our life. So our ratings and our satisfaction start to improve in those other areas as well. And when we have one area that we pick to focus on, and we get very intentional in that area, we're going to have much more success in moving the needle, so to speak. You're listening to the Profit by Design podcast, episode 69. You work hard in your business. On the Profit by Design podcast, we ask the big question: what has your business done for you lately? Hi, I'm Dr. Sabrina Starling, the business psychologist, the author of How to Hire the Best, and your co-host on the Profit by Design podcast. Weekly, my co-host, Mike Bruno, and I bring you tips, tools, and strategies from our own experiences and from the experiences of our guests, who are entrepreneurial thought leaders and real-life entrepreneurs, all to support you in making intentionally profitable and sustainable business decisions to live the lifestyle you desire. Profit Designers, welcome back to our end-of-year strategic planning series. If you have not listened to the last two episodes, I invite you to go do that now and then come back to this episode. This episode is all about your life. At Tap the Potential, we believe work supports life and not the other way around. And I believe that going into 2020, we need to be strategic about our life and how we set our business up to support the lifestyle that we want to have. On the Profit by Design podcast, we're always asking that big question: what has your business done for you lately? Let's be strategic and design our businesses to give us the life that we want to have, the lifestyle that we want to be living. So with that in mind, I've been encouraging you throughout this series to have a notebook or a journal and to be capturing your insights. Today is no different. Grab your notebook, grab your journal, and grab a pen. And I want you to think through these questions that I'll be asking you. So just like I took you through a completing the old exercise with respect to your business and looking at what were the wins, successes, and breakdowns, what were the things that were left undone that need to be completed before we go into 2020, I invite you to do the same thing in your life. And I have a tool that will support you in that. This is called the Wheel of Life. And you can access the Wheel of Life at tapthepotential.com/Wheel of Life. And that's all one word, just Wheel of Life. And when you look at the wheel, it lists out different areas of your life around the center of the wheel. So there's physical environment, and physical environment means like our office space, our home, our communities, just the area where we live physically. Another area on the wheel is career and business. I know you spend a lot of time thinking about that, and we've spent 2 episodes talking about that, so I'm not going to belabor that one here. Finances is another area of the wheel, our personal finances and our business finances. Romance and intimacy, our closest relationships, how are we doing there? Health and self-care, what are we doing to take care of ourselves? Social and fun. Hey guys, we need to have lives as business owners. So what are you doing to enjoy yourself? And personal and spiritual development. How are you growing yourself as a person? So these are some critical areas of life to be thinking through as I ask you some of the questions. Now, we're going to go through a completing the old process first. And this comes from an exercise that my very first coach, Lisa Kramer, shared with me. Many of you know Lisa. She's been on the Profit by Design podcast. If you're a client at Tap the Potential, you may have encountered her because she facilitates our leadership mastermind. And in 2020, she's going to be teaching our coach approach. This gift to yourself end of year exercise is something that I have done every year now, probably for about 15 years. It's that powerful. So I've really made it a ritual, and I want to share it with you. And I really invite you to take this in and make it a ritual for yourself too. So step 1 is to look at all the different areas of your life that are reflected on that wheel of life and list out for each area your wins, successes, and breakthroughs in 2019. So use that wheel of life, tapthepotential.com/wheel of life. And in each area on the wheel, list out your wins, successes, and breakthroughs. I think you'll surprise yourself. You've probably had breakthroughs and wins and successes that you're forgetting to acknowledge, and that wheel will prompt your thinking in that area. Similarly, list out your losses, disappointments, and breakdowns in each area of that wheel of life. So that's step 1. Step 2 is creating the new. Imagining, just like we did in last week's episode where we talked about the business and the experience that you want to have in your business, and I asked you to imagine ahead to December 2020, I want to invite you to do the same for your life. Write out your list of wins, successes, and breakthroughs for 2020. Go through each area of the wheel and use that to prompt your thinking about the wins, successes, and breakthroughs that you want to have in 2020. Be very specific and write them as though they have already happened. Look at each area of your life and make the list as long as you like. Now, also, just as a side note, I want to share with you, this is a great team building activity to take your team through this exercise. So feel free to share that wheel of life in a weekly team meeting and invite your team to go through this exercise with you. Another way that you can use the wheel of life that can be very helpful is to assess your current life satisfaction in each of these areas. So if you have done work on identifying your core values and your purpose, those would go at the center of your wheel. If you haven't done that work, don't worry about that. And then go through each area on the wheel and rate your current satisfaction in that area. Lower numbers reflect lower satisfaction. Higher numbers reflect more satisfaction. So a score of 0 to 3 is low satisfaction. A score of 8 to 10 is high satisfaction. After you've rated each area of the wheel, shade in your ratings. This gives you a visual image of your current experience in your life. And I'll tell you something, what's really common to see for small business owners is low satisfaction in several areas of the wheel and higher satisfaction in 1 or 2 areas. If we think about that wheel as a tire on our unicycle of life and we are having to pump along, if we have areas of our wheel that are not fully inflated, we are going to have a very bumpy ride on this road of life. Or if you have very low ratings across the board, you're having to go through life with a deflated tire. And if you've ever ridden a bicycle with a deflated tire, then you'll have a real appreciation for just the amount of effort that it takes to pump through and get that bicycle moving along. So with that visual image in mind, you might pick one area on the wheel that you want to be very intentional about improving in 2020. And I know it can be hard if you have low ratings in several areas. You may feel like, well, I need to improve my social life and I need to improve health and self-care. And oh yeah, finances are kind of bad too. I need to work on that. But we're not able to focus very well across multiple areas in our lives. We really need to have one area that we focus on at a time. And what's interesting to me is at Tap the Potential in our exclusive small group coaching program, we have our clients pick one area of the wheel per quarter that they're working to improve. And inevitably, when we improve one area of our life, it starts to bring up other areas of our life. So our ratings and our satisfaction start to improve in those other areas as well. And when we have one area that we pick to focus on, and we get very intentional in that area, we're going to have much more success in moving the needle, so to speak, in that area of our life. So don't get too scattered in, I'm going to try to improve 3 or 4 different things. Just pick one. And if it's hard to pick one, do it on a quarter by quarter basis. So if there's 4 things that you want to improve in your life in 2020, start with quarter 1 and identify one of those things that you're going to work on in quarter 1. In quarter 2, move to the next, and in quarter 3, and so on. That way, you're still focused on one thing at a time for yourself. And I would really encourage you to pick one area that you're going to focus on, and then again, write about the success as if it has already happened. So if you're writing, like for me, my area that I continue to focus on is improving sleep. And I'm trying really hard to get to 8 hours of sleep consistently night to night, because I know as a psychologist how critical sleep is for us. So I've been focusing, I track my sleep, I log it every night. I count the hours from week to week. I'm charting a graph of my hours of sleep, and I'm happy to report it is steadily improving. I'm at about 6.89 hours of sleep on average now. So I'm not quite to that 8 hours yet, but I have this focus and I keep that focus, and that's really where I am. So what is it in your life that you're choosing to focus on, and think through the actions that you need to take to increase your satisfaction with that area in your life. What needs to happen? So for myself with sleep, I have had to think through, when do I need to go to bed to get 8 hours of sleep? When do I normally wake up? Okay, so if I normally wake up at 4 in the morning, I probably need to be winding down at 7:30, which is crazy, but that's kind of the reality. So the other thing that I had to think through is, if I'm going to be winding down at 7:30, when do I need to be making supper so that I can wind down at 7:30? So I had to back that out and look at, okay, now I know I need to be starting supper around 5:30. So whatever that area is for you that you're choosing to focus on, think through, what are the habits that you need to put in place? What are the rituals? What are the routines that would support improvement for you in that area of life? So in this way, I'm inviting you to be as strategic about your life as you're getting about your business, because we want your business to be supporting a higher and higher quality of life for you. That's what this is all about. And then I would invite you to look at your business and ask, what needs to be going on in the business to support me making improvement in this area of my life? So again, to get a copy of that Wheel of Life for yourself or to share with your team, go to tapthepotential.com/Wheel of Life. Next, I want to shift focus with you and talk about leisure time, and particularly high quality leisure time versus low quality leisure time. This has been on my mind as I'm working on the 4-week vacation book right now. And I have been reading Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport. And what's really been eye-opening for me is, having taken several 4-week vacations myself, the first 4-week vacation that I took, I completely unplugged from social media. It was great. The second 4-week vacation, which was actually a 6-week vacation, I did not totally unplug from social media, and I found myself frittering away my time on social media during that 6 weeks off. And I came back from that 6 weeks off. I did not feel as rested as I had felt from the 4 weeks that I had taken previously. And so that's made me really curious about the impact of social media on our lives. Mike and I here on the Profit by Design podcast have talked about this previously, how social media is a huge distraction. And what's intriguing to me in Digital Minimalism, Cal Newport goes into all the different ways that we become addicted to social media. And he talks about the different things that are happening within social media that feed that addiction. And one of the things that he gets into is the distinction between low quality and high quality leisure time. Now, obviously, low quality leisure time is clicking through our social media feeds, like sitting on Facebook for hours at a time. High quality leisure time is doing things that feed our souls, that help us to grow as human beings, and that give us energy and kind of fill us back up. And what I've really been intrigued by is his suggestion that we need to get as strategic with our leisure time as we do with our businesses and the way that we plan our businesses. That is interesting to me because as I have taken so many business owners now through the 4-week vacation experience, one of the objections that I hear over and over about doing a 4-week vacation is, Sabrina, I don't know what I would do with myself if I had that much time off. That is alarming to me because that says that our businesses have really taken over our lives. We have lost outside interests because we haven't had time to pursue them. And it reminds me of when I started graduate school years ago. At that time in my life, I was into cross stitch. And I did beautiful cross stitch work. I mean, big, elaborate, like 8x10 cross stitches that look like paintings. And I still have some of them in my house. I loved it because it really relaxed me. And it was a great way for me to let go of whatever I was working on, whatever school projects I was working on, and to just really de-stress. And I remember in one of my first graduate school classes, the teacher had us go around and introduce ourselves and tell something about us that most people wouldn't know. So I shared that I cross-stitched. And she looked at me and she said, and she kind of had this look of wonder on her face. She said, I used to love to cross-stitch too. I haven't done that in years. And I said, how come? And she said, well, I guess I just got really busy. That stood out to me. And I had that thought in my head, like, oh gosh, please don't let me become that. As I pursue my PhD, I don't want to lose sight of the things that give me pleasure and joy in my life. So as I have gone through life, I've been very mindful of maintaining my hobbies, and they've evolved over the years. I have all kinds of different hobbies and interests. Currently, it's gardening and knitting. And spinning. I like to spin, not spinning a bicycle, but spinning fiber. And those are just things that relax me. But what's interesting is when I took my 4-week vacation and my 6-week vacation, I didn't spend as much time on those leisure time activities as I thought I would. And particularly on that 6-week vacation, I had let social media creep back in and I found myself frittering away a lot of time there. I really think we need to be very strategic about our leisure time and much more intentional about what leisure time activities do we want to pursue that fill us back up, that give us a sense of life. And I'm reminded of Mike Bruno here on the Profit by Design podcast a couple of months ago talking about how he's getting to play golf now. And he's really enjoying that experience. It's something he's never been able to do previously. He's never had time for it. So what is it for you that you have wanted to have more time for in your life? In the 4-week vacationers Facebook group, I asked a question of the entrepreneurs in there, what is it that you would like to have more time for? And the answers are not surprising. They're very simple. And what's surprising to me is how simple these things are, and yet how hard it feels to make time for them in our lives when we're busy running our businesses. So some of the answers were as simple as, I just want more time to sit and reflect. I want more time to bring my ideas to life. I want more time to read. I want more time to cook. I want more time with my loved ones. I want to do more traveling. So whatever your answer is for you about what is it that you want more time for in your life in 2020, I invite you to start getting strategic about that. How will you create space for that? If you're doing a 4-week vacation program with us at Tap the Potential, we're helping you with vacation tests. So you're taking small amounts of time away from your business and you're building up to that ultimate 4-week vacation. Those vacation tests are perfect opportunities to be spending more time in those areas of your life that you feel like you just don't have time to get around to. So reading books, cooking, traveling, taking trips with loved ones. I really invite you to pencil that in on your calendar, or actually not pencil it in, write it in with a pen because that's permanent, right? It can't be erased, and really hold that space for those things to happen. So if you're someone who's saying, well, I don't want to take a 4-week vacation because I just don't know what to do with myself, recognize that probably that's a sign that your business has taken over your life, and it is overwhelming to think about completely being away from the business for 4 weeks. So start small and just think about, what is it that you would like more time for in your life in 2020, and start using that time that you intentionally carve out away from your business to support your interests in those endeavors. And I'm happy to report to you on this 4-week vacation, I've done a few things to set myself up for success. Number 1, I deleted all my social media apps from my phone. I have no access, and I have to, if I want to get on social media, I have to be at my computer. And quite honestly, I just don't find social media very interesting when I'm sitting in front of my computer. So that takes that away from me. The other thing that I've done, though, is going into this 4-week vacation, I've taken the time to think through, what are the leisure time activities that I want to be intentional about pursuing? I have 3 business books that I want to read, that I really want to read in a focused way and have time to think through my ideas that come about as a result of reading those books, which is very different than reading books, in between things where I have 15 minutes here and there, and then I have to run off and do something else. So I've decided these are the books that I want to read on my 4-week vacation. I have a knitting project, a sweater that I'm making for my daughter, that is something I want to really see through to completion on my 4-week vacation, which means I have to be very dedicated to blocking time to make that happen. So be more strategic about your leisure time pursuits during the time that you decide to take away from your business, and see what happens. As I'm working on the 4-week vacation book during this 4-week vacation, it's a sabbatical. It's more like a sabbatical than a vacation right now because I want to get this book written. I would love to hear your thoughts on being more strategic about your leisure time, and help me flesh this out a little bit, because I think this is a key area where we business owners could really be enjoying our lives a lot more as we design our businesses to give us more space for those leisure time activities. So if this gets you thinking about anything, or if what I'm sharing with you resonates, or if you think it's totally, off the wall, whatever, I would love to hear your thoughts about this in the Profit by Design podcast Facebook group. I won't be checking it while I'm on my 4-week vacation, but when I get back, I would love to see it because it might help me flesh out my ideas as I'm writing the book. And finally, as we're wrapping up and talking about visioning your life in 2020, one powerful exercise that I want to invite you to take part in is creating a vision board for yourself. This is something that we've done with our retreat participants at Breakthroughs on the Bayou, and it has been a profound activity in terms of insights and ahas, and business owners making their business support their life in the year ahead. So when you do a vision board, there's really no rules for doing a vision board. So I'm just going to give you some rough guidelines of where to get started. I really encourage you to get a whole bunch of magazines. You can go to your local library. Usually they are very happy to send you home with a bunch of old magazines. And just start flipping through those magazines and look at the images and pictures and just cut out the ones that speak to you. You don't need to know why they speak to you. Just they have some emotional trigger for you that makes you connect with that image. Cut it out and then start putting those images on your vision board. You can also look for images that support the vision you're starting to create for 2020. And you can design your vision board however you like. I like to get a small piece of poster board and just stick my images on there. And one of the things psychologically that is so powerful about vision boards is our brain does not distinguish between fact or fiction. So if our eye is falling on that vision board every single day, our brain starts to believe it's happening. And we will start to spot opportunities to make that vision come into reality. So the more intentional we are about holding our vision in front of us, the more likely we are to spot opportunities to bring that vision to fruition. So that's what I have for you. As we wrap up today, I want to remind you of a couple of resources to support you. You can use the Wheel of Life at tapthepotential.com/Wheel of Life. If you're still working through your business vision and how you want your business vision to support your vision for your life, you can use our assessment at tapthepotential.com/assessment. And finally, for you to work on your business strategically in 2020, we have the Pumpkin Planner, which is a daily planner that's designed to support you in doing your highest value activities on your business to move it forward in 2020. You can get a hold of that at tapthepotential.com/planner. Let's get strategic in 2020. Let's make 2020 an incredible year for you. Thank you for spending time with us today. Join our conversation in the Profit by Design podcast Facebook group. Share your thoughts on today's episode, ask us questions, and let us know what you want to hear about next. Visit our website at profitbydesignpodcast.com to access resources from our sponsors and tools we've created for you. Subscribe to the show on whatever platform you're listening to right now. There's a subscribe button right there. Go ahead and hit it so that you always get a notification when we release a new episode. And finally, share our podcast with a friend if you know a friend who would enjoy it. Thanks again for listening. This is real life business. Keep your chin up, keep moving forward. You got this.